Good morning, happy Friday, and welcome back to the NOFO Live Show, where I, Sunita, along with my co-host Tracy, we hop on every Friday and talk about everything North Fork. This is the official start of season 4. We've been doing this for 3 years, so this is our 4th year that we're doing this, and we are so excited to kick it off with our guest Sarah, who is the owner at First and South Restaurant in Greenport. One of my favorite things about this restaurant is that it's open year round. As many of you know, this is can be a little bit of a seasonal town. It used to definitely be a lot more seasonal, and now more things are open year round. But the nice thing in the quieter seasons, it has a much more community feel because quote unquote the locals end up there. Good morning, Tracy. How are you?
Good morning. How are you?
I'm good. How are you? Are you ready for year 4?
I am ready for year 4. I actually am ready.
Oh, okay.
Partially because I have to get Tilly ready for school now early, and then I had my contractor here, so I actually was ready. Like we always talk about how I need my hair and makeup team, but
Well,
I did
good thing there's 2 of us, because when most of the times I'm ready, and today I'm just like, okay, what are we doing? Who's here? What am I doing?
Yeah, I actually looked at my clock and I was like, I have 20 minutes before the show, and I'm actually ready.
I just realized I didn't talk about the weather, so maybe that's a year 4
thing. Yeah, no,
I mean, the weather is gorgeous.
It's stunning, and I'm so excited because I've talked about my vision board for my backyard, and there's some work being done, and like part of my long 10-year vision is happening today.
I feel like it's leaping off the board onto the actual backyard. I mean, things are happening. Yeah. I can see things moving. It's great. It's awesome. Right. And I see you've been posting a lot of stories of you and Tilly at the beach. Yeah. So I'm really happy that you're taking some much needed sunshine time.
Well, and also it's very good that we're getting that time together, because that time is very enjoyable. I have to say right now we're having a lot of non-enjoyable moments in toddlerhood.
That's only because you're not ready for the terrible twos.
I'm not.
Well,
I'm not.
Here they come. Here they come.
I'm not ready.
Good morning, Sarah.
Good morning.
How are you?
Good. I just interrupted your story though, so you could finish.
Oh no, we'll talk about Tilly all day long. So what do you want to share about sweet Tilly? And you better not say anything bad.
No, I won't say anything bad. She is developing so quickly. It's amazing. Her vocabulary is insane. Last night she was in the bath and she was, it's hard. I'm the only one who can understand what she's saying because it's hard to, pronounce them. And she was saying, Mommy, I'm pretending. Mommy, I'm pretending. And she's just so, but she's also very demanding.
And she's 2. And well, I know you shared like one of the things you're really not frustrated about, but terrified about is that she started to wander out of her crib now, right? She's found a way to climb over, and that can be scary when you watch them do it.
I don't want the parenting police to come after me, but I told her, I said, listen, if you get out of your crib, a policeman's going to come here, and he's going to have to take you to
jail. Good luck.
You better not do it. And she never did it again.
I think that will last 2 days, and then
no, don't you dare say that. It's working. Don't you dare.
Sarah, any advice you have to give her on how to keep Tilly in the crib and safe?
No, I myself was a crib escapee as a child, and since I don't have children, I am not fit for advice there.
Okay, but that's what I said to Tilly and to Tracy, that's not bad. That's freedom. She's found freedom. She's out.
Yes.
She is out. Like she's never going back. Sorry. That's my advice. Is actually you should prepare for that.
I know.
I agree. All right, let's switch gears. We are so excited to have you back on, Sarah. For people who live under a rock and don't know who you are, can you introduce who you are and what your restaurant in Greenport is all about?
Yeah, I'm Sarah Phillips. I live in Greenport, and I have a restaurant, First and South. It's on the corners of First and South Street. And a lot of people don't know it was my first restaurant, and I'm from the South Shore. So it kind of lined up pretty perfectly. Yeah. So it was pretty easy to decide on a name. That was like the easiest part, I think, of opening First and South.
That's
Wow, I
amazing.
didn't know the First and South aligned with the First and South there, and then obviously the streets. Oh my God, that's so cool. But it's meant to be. It just feels right.
Yeah, it was all serendipitous opening up that spot. So it was a spot that was basically gifted to me, people that I had met that wanted a restaurateur in the space. I had met them when I was at Jedediah's, and the end of their lunch, they're like, "We have a building that we bought, and it has a restaurant in it. We want you to have it." And I was like, "You guys are so cute. You had so much fun there today." And
But
they're like, "No,
how did you take the plunge to open a restaurant, especially if this is your first?
oh, that was the goal. I had moved out to the North Fork to run Jedediah Hawkins. I had left the city. I was consulting for restaurants there, did culinary school, and I wanted to be here. I wanted to be where I was connected to food a little more. Tracy and I know each other from Fire Island. I was out there for like 8 seasons, traveled in the off season, but I wanted something where I could be part of a community where the community was based around food. Like we're a platform for all the products we carry, and we're so happy to be able to have that connection, and everything else kind of fell into place behind it. So it wasn't um, a surprise I was going to open it. It just came about in a way that was
Yeah.
surprising. Yeah.
Yeah. So were you already living in Greenport and then they gifted you this, or did the gifting come first and then you?
When I first took the job at Jedediah Hawkins, one of my best childhood friends happened to be living in Greenport with her husband, who was a boat builder. And so I was sleeping in their daughter's nursery on the ABC mats.
Okay.
Hmm.
Preventing her from getting out of the crib.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Actually, she was out. She was out. So I was there. So I was in Greenport, and I had walked around my one day off that summer, and I sat at the end of the dock at Scrimshaw, and I was like, I'm going to live here. Like, this is where I'm going to live. I had this wash of knowing, and went back to Jedediah's, spent a couple of months there. They were going through some transitions, and I knew I needed to move on. I just didn't know what the choice was. And then flash forward a month or two later, this couple had come in for lunch. We had some connections to my hometown Babylon. We chatted a lot. And then that's when they offered me the space. I legitimately drove the next morning at like 8 a.m. and was like this on the windows because that same day I sat in Greenport and knew I was going to be here. I had walked by that property and I was like, I could do so much with this. Oh my God, this is incredible. And it turned out to be the same place.
Yeah.
And,
Totally
and
kismet.
yeah, that was like January 20th. I think February 3rd, we signed our leases. February 14th, we formulated company. We broke ground and did the renovations March 3rd, and we opened Mother's Day 2012.
I think I was there for Mother's Day 2012. I think I was like,
Wait,
yeah.
2012 sounds like literally a minute ago,
I
but
know.
it's a long time ago. And for a
Yeah.
restaurant to be thriving there, I don't want to say surviving because you are literally thriving there. It's
Yeah.
amazing. So bravo to
Thank
you.
Well, and actually, we really did. Like before I moved here, we would go out for Mother's Day, and First and South is where we would always go. And that was when I made the connection that I was like, I saw Sarah, and I was like, wait a minute.
Like, I know you.
Yeah, I was like, I know you. What's going on here? Yep.
So speaking of knowing, everybody in the community knows First and South. So talk a little bit about how this restaurant has literally turned into what I would call a community hub, because you do so many different creative things that bring everybody together there, between the summer camp and all the, I don't even know who comes up with all these creative things. I'd love to hear behind the scenes of that.
Um, Well, it's a collection, obviously. Like I said, we're a platform for other people's products, and that part gives you a lot of creative juice, right? Like so many people here have so many hidden talents. It's like every person you know here wears three hats, right? Both of yourselves included. People know you as a mother, they know you as an event planner, they know you as like a caring person that puts out personal advice and love and structure. So those things, everyone has that. It's just a matter of like, I guess, really listening to what people have to say and what they have to offer, and then figuring out if you can share that alongside them. I think that's kind of all we've ever done. The dance lessons that we do with Blake Hobby Dowling, she was our neighbor. Her and her husband own One Love Beach, the paddleboard shop. I knew them as paddleboarders. And then her husband showed me a video of her professionally dancing. And I was like, I'm sorry, what? I've known you for I've known you for 2 years. I don't understand what's happening here. Why aren't we doing this? And she was driving to Stony Brook. She was driving around to the South Fork. She was in Manhattan. So she was teaching all these courses, all these different places, but she wasn't teaching something here. And so then that's how we ended up doing dancing at First and South, because how could you not do it in your own hometown if you're right here? And so then we had all these people coming from the South Fork, people coming from Port Jeff, Huntington, anywhere else in Nassau County, even sometimes people coming out from the city just to dance with Blake. And then they got to know the restaurant through that. So as much as we get to highlight other people get to highlight us. And that's like kind of, I think, why people know it, because we bring in so many different
Well,
factors.
I think my first introduction was to Kara was probably on your chalkboard,
Oh
right?
yeah.
She's
Oh
another
yeah.
example of
Yes.
now I literally see her in every restaurant or every place in the North Fork, and she has incredible talent. But I'm not sure if you kind of launched her, if that's the right word, or is that one of her early chalk arts on a restaurant?
I am humbled to even think that I have anything to do with Kara's art career, right? Like she'll say that I gave her her start, but Kara gave her her start. She was going to do social media photography for us. Her story is pretty insane. She was moving out of Brooklyn that night, left all of her camera equipment, her computers in her car, was robbed overnight, came to meet with me the next morning, and she was like, I can't do any of this that we set out to do. And I was like, well, can you do this chalkboard? And she had gone to school for fine arts, and we had an artist that had worked with us when we first opened, TJ Tuthill, who had done the first round of chalkboards. And they were incredible. His artwork is totally a different style, but they were super cool. It was really fun. And you kind of saw the path. And Kara's creativity and her color and her connection to the North Fork and her understanding of bringing in this like ethereal element to real life was just so perfect for the dining room. And restaurants stay the same, right? Our floor plan is the same. We might change a table from a six top to an eight top or a two top to a four top, but the format's the same. I like to rearrange. I rearrange my house probably like once a month. So the chalkboard gave us the creative outlet to have something different in the restaurant all the time. And so that was kind of how that came to be. And then Kara carried herself from there out. Like, I don't think she ever stops working. So,
Yeah.
Well, she wears 16 hats.
Yeah.
like on top of each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't want to not get to the restaurant because we're talking about this so much we could continue to talk to you about. Can we talk a little bit about the menu though? I mean, that brunch and all the things you offer. So can you talk about some of the popular things that you find that you can never really take off the menu because people come for that?
Like mimosas and Bloody Marys. I feel like that usually is what defines brunch. Good coffee. You know, it's sad that the one thing we can't do is we can't bring in like an espresso machine, so we can't do lattes. We can't. So we just make sure that our drip coffee is delicious, because you at brunch you want seven drinks. You want a brunch, you want a coffee, you want a water, you want a milkshake, you want a Bloody Mary, and then, some people finish with a martini. It's really interesting. It's such a funny day part. Um, our Benedicts are great. We offer several styles because you don't have to eat ham to eat Benedict, right? Um, our tuna burger we have to have on at all times. It doesn't matter if it's 10 a.m. or if it's 9 o'clock. Like, it's just something that stays on our menu. Um, our oysters Rockefeller are absolutely delicious and came from a really wonderful meeting about celebration a couple of years ago with one of our previous chefs, Max Benson, Brewster McCall from McCall Wines. We were doing a tasting. We were trying to come up with like new celebration items that would just kind of change it for us, give us a little juice, give us something new and a different challenge. And they are so delicious and we all love them and they'll stay on the menu forever. So we kind of find these items that really are comfort foods, but done in a way that you're not going to make at home and you don't have to do the dishes. And
The mac,
so,
the mac and cheese. I love the mac and cheese.
yeah, the mac and cheese is key. The black bean burger, I see you out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's just items on our menu. It's really interesting when you're going through either hiring a chef or hiring new cooks, like talking about the menu and talking about creativity. It's hard to step away from dishes that people depend on. like that people
Yeah.
come to us for. Like I can't take the black bean burger off, but seasonally we can change the toppings. Like, so we have to make those compromises. And so anyone that works with us or in our kitchen or on our team kind of knows, like, you gotta you gotta run in this line. And all we want to do is give people what they want, right?
Yeah.
Like you want kind service, and you want a great seat, and you want that tuna burger or those oysters rock or a Caesar salad. Like, it's not.
Well, I think a lot of people also, I would say that First and South is like the Cheers of the North Fork, because so many people I know, including myself, and I don't even drink alcohol, but like will come and sit at the bar to just kind of like talk to the other people at the bar, or talk to you, or talk to the bartender, and it's a very like homey feeling. In fact, coming in the winter and sitting at the bar is like my favorite, because it's like it's just us.
Everybody you
Yeah,
know.
You know?
It's everybody
yeah,
you know. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So
It's,
my foodie friend Stacy, who owns the Harvest Inn, she constantly raves about your fries, and she's not the only one. And it's crazy to me because she's talking about French fries, but I don't know what magic you have because they are amazing. And I think one of the things she talks about a lot more is the fact that you have all these various dipping sauces that you can order with them, and that just totally elevates the whole French fry experience. I think that's
yeah.
genius.
They're just fun. I mean, when you go out, you want to share, and that really encourages sharing, and it kind of just helps bring people together at the table, and it gets like a little bit of a conversation going of like what your favorites are, who likes spicy, who doesn't like spicy, who's into savory, who's into sweet. I feel like that's always a really great way to like start a dining experience. Going back to your NA comment, Tracy, it's really interesting. The trend of people that are looking to socialize that aren't necessarily looking to socialize in this kind of traditional way with like alcohol. And so we have really adapted to that the same way we've adapted to allergies. We have 3 non-alcoholic beers that we've put on since we reopened at St. Patrick's Day weekend, and 2 by request of guests that eat with us all the time. They're like, "Can you get us this?" And we're like, "Yes,
Is
100%." And then we have a new non-alcoholic sparkling rosé that's put out by Wolfer, and it's absolutely delicious. It's like top to bottom, a full wine experience without the alcohol.
Plus a
great.
beautiful
Um,
bottle.
it's a
I'm just
beautiful
saying.
bottle, so you
Plus a
can really
beautiful
have
bottle.
like tableside service
Right.
as though you're ordering off a wine list, and you just feel included. We also
Yes.
have 3 mocktails that we've had on our menu forever that are absolutely delicious, made with fresh juices. Like, we have basically what some restaurants would only have, like, let's say 8 drinks on their entire cocktail menu. We have 8 drinks just in the non-alcoholic segment on top of your regular soft drinks,
Yeah.
because it counts. It
Yes.
matters, and it's nice to go out and feel like you're catered to as a guest. You're not secondary. And that was how we ended up being so gluten free, being so allergy ready, is we just saw all of these humans that needed specialty food. And we were like, we can't stop everything we're doing for every person. So let's just change it top to bottom and make sure that we can just get every human what they want.
And
And this is something.
also, there are furry friends who are welcome at your restaurant,
Yes.
correct?
So that kind of happened um, out of happenstance. Like, we're a neighborhood place. And so people would walk their dogs, stop by. Now they're having lunch with their dog. Now it's raining. Where do you
Yeah.
go? Like, we didn't have our tent set up pre-COVID. So if you were outside, so our bar room and our outside area are dog friendly if your dog is friendly. And I think that's a really important note for people. If your dog is friendly, please bring your dog. If your dog is not friendly, please don't bring your
Yeah.
dog. That just seems like common sense.
Yes.
Our dining room is always dog free. There are some people that have severe allergies. There are some people that just don't like dogs, and that's okay. But I do question you a little bit.
Hey, maybe they didn't. Maybe their experience wasn't with a friendly dog.
Correct. And that's why you have to
Yeah.
just have a space again for both types of humans, and that's okay.
Yes. Yes.
We have had one person, I think only one person dine with a cat, and it was pretty cool. I'm not gonna lie. It was like one of those backpacks
I was
that
just
has
gonna
like
say,
the cat
did
in
he have
it.
the backpack where the dog
Oh my
told
God!
the
I
cat
mean,
to look
you
out?
do summer camp, you do stuff. I see cat cafe days coming. You know.
I mean, I went to a cat cafe in Charleston, and I was very happy with the results. I almost came home with a cat, but
Really?
I can't
I,
have a cat. There's a severe allergy in my house, so we can't do cats.
Talk to us a little bit about what you have planned for the summer.
Summer 24. So exciting. Memorial Day weekend was amazing. We had so many great people in house. We are looking forward to our second Pride Month in Greenport. Well, not month, but the actual parade and the village being behind it, the North Fork being behind it. I think that's really cool. So we have teamed up with Queerly, and we are doing our first Thursday back opened, which for people that know or don't know, we had to close on Thursdays because we lost some staff. We had booked private events on our only day closed. So my whole staff would have worked 21 days straight going into Memorial Day weekend, and then everyone would have quit. And
yeah.
so to stay open, we had to close another day. So June 20th will be our first reopened Thursday, and we're bringing back Tiki for the summer. So Clint, who's behind our bar, is obsessed with tiki. Ashley, who does pastry, she's on our floor. She also is obsessed with tiki. So we started doing a tiki night because they're into it. And we were like, great, let's do tiki. It's Thursday. So we do pad thai. Chef Jason
Ooh.
Casey had brought that in. He wanted to do pad thai during the pandemic as like a fun to go item for people since you couldn't really travel to get food. So those are just like some of the highlights. The drinks, we're working with Select Aperitivo to do really elevated, fun tiki cocktails. There will be NA available. Um, and we are having some incredible burlesque dancers come out that night. So we're dubbing that first Thursday Freaky Tiki. We're pairing up with, yeah,
Wait,
it's going to
when
be
is
so
this? I need to
fun.
put it on my calendar. I know,
Yeah.
Casey, you can ignore. You're probably in Fire Island that week. Somehow it feels
Yes,
like.
probably.
It's Thursday, June 20th, and it'll be dinner service starting at 5 and burlesque after dark. So it'll
Okay.
start like 8:30, 9 o'clock.
Okay. And I think
And it's
the Pride Parade is that same weekend
Yes.
yes,
on
yes.
on Saturday.
So
Yes.
there's a couple of kickoff parties. There's one that's going on at Little Fish with the LGBTQ. There's ours, and then everywhere in town is going to be open. Like there is just an enterprise of events going on for Pride, which is really cool to see so many people participating.
Yep.
So that's our Thursday night. And then Saturday, we're hosting the tea dance, and we're going to host that at summer camp. And so that's going to
What
be
is
like
what
Yeah.
is summer camp?
Let's talk about
What is
summer
summer
camp.
camp?
summer camp is our property next door that we ended up co oping um, during the pandemic. So when you couldn't dine inside, the owners at Sparkling Point were kind enough to offer me the space next door as a rental agreement. And so we've had the property since 2020. We are looking at developing it. And in the meantime, we have this big, beautiful yard that we maintain, and we're going to throw a tent up in there and we're going to get it set up so that we can have a tea dance post parade, all American barbecue, like DJ Henry. We have McCall Wines behind that. We're reaching out to a couple breweries right now, and it's just going to be a place to gather after the parade for people to dance and let loose. And we do tea dance the last Sunday of every month now, anyway, which is an LGBTQ um, directed event. It's co-opted with Queerly as well, and it started out in Fire Island
I was just gonna say,
originally.
this sounds like a Fire Island
Yeah,
thing. I remember going to tea dance.
yeah,
Yes.
and it's just something that a lot of my friends have attended, that I've attended in my life, that's super fun, really freeing, and is no one on the North Fork is doing it. No one is kind of specifically doing an event just for the LGBTQ group. So I was like, well, this is, if we're considered a safe space, and that's such a privilege, right? Like we just think we're being humans and respecting each other. Um, yeah, let's highlight it even more and bring more people into that community. And so that's where we're at there. So Queerly has done a really great job. Michelle and her fiance AJ are two of like the co-founders and board members, and they've worked with some of the other breweries out here, like everything kind of like hospitality adjacent. And now they sit on the board with like North Fork Women for Women. They've created Queerly. They've worked with the LGBTQ group that is bringing us the Pride Parade. So it's really nice because you're kind of involved from the top down and bringing all these groups together and getting this like larger understanding of, you know, your friends and neighbors.
Yeah. Well, it perfectly exemplifies the cheers of the North Fork, that everything you're saying. Let's jump into our NoFo Live 5, because I
Okay.
can't believe it's already 9:25. All right. So obviously, if we were going to lunch with you, we would meet you at First and South. But if you wanted to just get away from work for a little while, where would you take us to lunch?
I'd most likely go to 1943 Pizza Bar. As most people know, my partner Seth runs the store. Kirsten and Matt are incredible owners. The food is incredible, and you can sit outside and relax, and or probably Little Creek Oysters and sit outside with Ian and Rosalie and get to hang out and just be like somewhere walking distance usually.
Yeah.
So those are my two big choices.
Nice.
Awesome. You mentioned you live in Greenport.
Hmm.
So is there a special spot you like to go to either catch a sunrise or a sunset?
Home.
Yeah.
I live on Sterling. I'm lucky enough. I rent from really great friends, and we live right on Sterling. So the sunrise is like every morning right out my window. It's kind of like living in a cruise ship. And so just getting up early enough is enough for me. Like, it's great. That's like, this is where I'm at. Sterling Street is one of the most special places.
That's awesome. And you can walk
That's so
to
perfect.
work.
Yeah.
As you know, and I think I said this before, an answer like that is literally my favorite because it reflects how much beauty we have around us. And no matter where you end up on the North Fork, it is possible to catch some of it from your own backyard. You know, it's great to
Yeah.
be able to drive to the water because we're lucky that it sets on the sound, but literally you could stand anywhere, including the Long Island Expressway, and catch the most spectacular orange globe of sun, you know. So I love that. Thank you. You mentioned a lot of your cocktails and mocktails. Brewery, vineyard. Where would we find you enjoying what?
I was at McCall Vineyards last night for Thursday night burger night since I have Thursdays off right now. So I ran some errands. So you'll usually find me at McCall. Macari, I went to Courtauld last week. It was absolutely beautiful. Um, yeah, those three are kind of, well, I went to Sparkling Point last week too. I've been really trying to like get out and taste more. Again, we live in an area where there's so much to do, but we don't always get to do it. And so I've been trying to make a point to stop at different places and like actually sit there and enjoy it, like take it in for a minute. So yeah, so Sparkling Point, Courtauld, Macari, McCall Vineyards have all been on my list this week. So
I think that should be our hashtag for the summer. Like, take it in.
yeah,
Just take it
it's
in.
true.
All right. So, where do you get your fresh produce from for the restaurant, for home? What farm stands are you collaborating with?
My favorite thing to do is to drive out to Latham's. I mean, just that view at the point there is great. Erin is so amazing. I love working with her. It's been a slow start this season with all of the rain. So we've just been piecemeal bringing in green garlic, asparagus, like little items there. And Michelle at Deep Roots is growing some really cool stuff. I haven't had a chance to get anything from her yet this season because with the holiday weekend, bringing in kind of unique ingredients like what she's growing isn't always the ideal for my staff. It kind of like throws a little bit of a wrench in the, what's that phrase? Whatever, you know what I mean.
Yeah. Yeah.
It just kind of like takes everybody out of their rhythms. So this week, I can't wait to like get over to Deep Roots and just see what's going on there. I just like admire Michelle so much, what she's doing and how she's working. Erin the same way, and then all of our oyster men, like they're all local, and we just like rotate through this really incredible group of people that you see work so hard, and when you taste the results, you're like, life doesn't get better than that, right?
No, living off the land. We really get to do that here, which is amazing. It's amazing. All right, so we usually ask the last question, which is why do you love being a part of the North Fork?
I mean, how could you not, right? It's like one of the biggest small communities I've ever lived in. Like I grew up in a small town. Babylon Village is mile by mile. It's incorporated. I love that I have this kind of urban aspect of walking into the village and I can get a coffee and I can shop. I can kind of do the few errands that I need to do. But then I can also like pop in and see my friends over at this place or this place, like your neighbors. It's just it's such a great area. It doesn't matter which little nook you're in, but there's always going to be someone that you bump into. Like last night at McCall, there were several of our dining club members there, you know, other friends that I haven't seen, and it's just like, "Ooh, I see you everywhere." And it's like it's so nice to catch people that way. And this is really just like the biggest little area, and I feel like it's really embracing and it's really warm and it's really fun, and I couldn't imagine really living anywhere else.
So Sunita started the show off saying her favorite things about First and South, but I would say hands down that if you asked anyone on the North Fork, their favorite thing about First and South is you, Sarah. So thank you for being such an important part of our community.
Thank you. That's so nice to say. I would have to say I cannot do it without Dan Domingo, my business partner. He has been so behind the scenes the last couple of years, and he's really a barman. I think you'll see him more behind the bar this year.
Oh, I have to give him a
And
shout out because, Tracy, I think you missed it. We recently had the Women's Entrepreneur Business Group meeting at First and South, and obviously it's all women, so there were a whole bunch of women, and and he was joking, or someone was joking. I mean, he was around and helping and serving, but he was like, "Do I have to wear a dress to show up to this meeting?"
I tried to get him to wear a wig. He's usually pretty good about like my theme parties and like costumes. Like he dressed up as a jockey one year for like the Kentucky Derby. He's like, I don't know, Sarah. I was like, can you just please put a wig on for this event? It'll be so funny. And we were like this close, this close.
Well, like Tracy said, thank you for being part of this community. Thank you for creating this space where the community could gather. And I can't end the show without giving a shout out to your Instagram feed. It is just spectacular. It's mouth-watering. Like every time I look at a post, even if I'm not hungry, I'm suddenly hungry now. And that exact thing is what I want. So kudos to whoever and however you're creating the feed. It's beautiful and a true reflection of what you guys are doing there.
Yeah, thank you. And that's a lot of Doug Young's photography. And I think everybody's seen Doug's stuff everywhere, but he was the first person to ever shoot First and South in 2012 for Newsday. And we became fast friends. And he literally stopped by yesterday. And I was like, it's about time. I've seen you've been doing every single person on the North Fork but me. And so we have something lined up. He'll be there on Thursday, June 20th for Freaky Tiki taking photos. So be camera ready.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you, everybody. Enjoy this beautiful Friday on the North Fork, and we will see you next week. Bye.
Thanks so much.
Thanks, Sarah. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.